Let's see, here's another example. So let's say we have f of x of, we'll start with x plus 2 over x. And we're going to say we're interested in the window from, let's say, 1, I don't know, that's boring. Oh, I know, let's freak you guys out. Let's say from 1/2 to 4. Okay, that's our closed window. So as always, we know our test points are going to be the low and the high value of our intervals. So we already have 2 test points. To find any other test points, we have to look at our derivative. So our derivative, down here, we have f of x equals x plus 2 over x. You know you got to rewrite that. You can't do the derivative when you have that x in the denominator like that. So that's 2x to the negative 1 power. Now you're going to start the derivative. Okay, x to the first, sometimes the derivative can be tricky. Just follow your rules, right? It says take the exponent, move it forward. Okay, so that gives me 1x. But then when you subtract 1 from your exponent, 1 minus 1, I can't answer that. 1 minus 1 is 0. No more x's. The derivative of x is just 1. That's it. Okay, now you're going to do the derivative of the other function. So you got, bring that negative 1 forward, you get negative, oops, I don't want that, negative 2x, subtract 1 from your exponent, and you get negative 2. Now let's rewrite it in the form they had us. 1 minus, the 2 stays on top because it's a whole number, but it's the x squared you move down. Okay, and to find test points, we have to, this is our derivative. You have to set the derivative equal to 0. Okay, because when the slope of the tangent line is 0, that's when we get those maximums and minimums. So we've set our derivative equal to 0 because that's slope. Move that fraction over, it becomes positive. You got 2 over x squared equals 1. Multiply both sides by x squared, and you get 2 equals x squared. Then take the square root of both sides. Don't freak out that it's not a perfect square. Okay? And you get, now remember, when you take the square root of x squared, you get 2 possible answers. Okay, there are 2 possible answers. It's always a positive and negative when you have x squared. So we have our possible values of positive square root of 2 and negative square root of 2. All right, this is an important step. Before you start plugging all those in, you have to make sure all of those numbers, oh, there's one more. I'm sorry, I forgot. Okay, the other thing you have to look at is any place where the derivative would be would not exist. Okay, so right here, here's my derivative. At 0, because I can't plug in 0 for x, or I get a 0 in the denominator, it doesn't exist at 0. So that's something else I'm going to have to look at there. So that's another test point. Okay, now before you start plugging them in, look at all your numbers and make sure they are in your window. All right, square root of 2. If you need to estimate because you don't know what that is, do square root of 2 in your calculator so you know. I think it's 1.4 something, but we'll do it anyway. Yeah, 1.41. Okay, so I know that that's above 1/2 and less than 4, so square root of 2 works. Negative square root of 2, however, is not in my test window. Okay, I'm only going from positive 1/2 to positive 4. So I got to cross this one out because it's not in my window. Same thing with 0. 0 is not between 1/2 and 4. So those 2 points are not in my closed interval. Dividing by a fraction, you flip the denominator and multiply. That gives me 1/2 plus 4. So I got 4.5. Okay, since we're looking at absolute numbers and we're going to have calculators anyway, yes, you can do 4.5. Right now I'm going to plug in 4. 4 plus 2 divided by 4. So again, I have 4 plus 1/2, which is 4.5, which is 4.5. Right, so we got same there. Square root of 2. So I have square root of 2 plus 2 divided by square root of 2. Do that thing in your calculator. Actually, I think you get 2 square root of 2. But just do it in your calculator. Square root of 2 plus, in parentheses, you got 2 divided by square root of 2, close parentheses twice. And that gives you 2.8. Alright, so now when you're choosing maximum and minimums, we have a tie. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tie. These two are tied, right? They're both the same. So both of those would be absolute maximums, because on this interval from 1/2 to 4, those are the two highest points. And then down here would be your absolute